Where comics are concerned, are you stuck in the middle? What is the middle? Well, let's talk about that. Hey there, this is Perch. You know, one of the things about comics and where it's at right now, and I guess this is true for a lot of things, but you really see it very clear in comics, is that the majority of fans, the majority of people, and when I say fans, I mean people who like and spend money. And that's an important point. You'll see why in a minute. Um, the problem is that there's this giant gulf where the people who are in the middle, who are fans and like to spend money and enjoy, have money to spend and will buy comics, are left isolated between two really goofy extremes. And those extremes are, on one end, you have kind of the large publishers, and you have some of the fans that are big Comic Con convention type fans who get very excited. The D23 Expo a few weeks ago comes out, and they announce, hey, we're going to do a She-Hulk series. And you go on Twitter and you see lots of people like, oh my God, that'll be so great. I hope they adapt the current run of She-Hulk. It's like, okay, well, number one, there isn't a current run of She-Hulk. That title doesn't exist. And number two, that run had very few fans. But if you're Marvel, if you're Disney, and you're kind of gauging a property's success based on kind of excited people at comic conventions, you might, assume that properties like Miss Marvel and She-Hulk and all of these titles have huge, huge fan bases, like rabid, crazy fans who are excited to spend money. But in reality, in the world, the titles aren't landing with the middle, i.e., the majority. On the other hand, you've got this other extreme, which is like all of these characters are terrible and they must burn in fire and I hate them all and they have to be, killed forever and it's too much woke every day, every second, every minute. And that perspective is also kind of crazy. And I'll show you why. Miss Marvel as a title, if you just forget all the interviews, forget everything else, and just read the content for what it is, that comic that initially came out, um, it had a new superhero. She's a teen, kind of tied to the Inhumans bit, which was really the only awkward part about her origin. And she was not a cosplayer. She wrote fan fiction, and she was big kind of superhero, idolized kind of personality, Muslim, living in New Jersey, and kind of it's a very by the numbers origin story of a young new superhero gains powers, goes out and tries to do stuff. And the title sold well. Not 200,000 copies, but that is a ridiculous thing to kind of go out the gate with. That's not where the industry is at. You can say, well, the industry should be there. Yes, that would be wonderful. It'd be wonderful if rainbows would deliver cash into my pocket every week too. But that's not where the industry's at. So with the industry we have, the title was popular. If the industry was stronger, that title would be stronger. It's a pure cause and effect. People can argue with me about this, but there are such things as facts, and those are facts. That title was just fine. And then time went on, and the title got a little goofier. And you can say, a lot of people point to the Civil War too. It's like, oh, Miss Marvel was trying to put people in jail. That was a really, Civil War II as a storyline. People need to come to the understanding that the book was clearly Brian Michael Bendis, first he was dealing with some health issues, but also on the way out. His passion for Marvel was clearly gone at that point. Civil War II could not have been a more kind of dull exercise in corporate vomiting out an event. And so if we're going to constantly gauge, all of these characters by that one event, that's stupid. That was a writer writing a bad story at a bad time in his life that went nowhere and landed nowhere. That was not indicative of all comics and all characters at any given time. But still, people like to immediately throw this up. And let's be honest, it's because that there were some videos made by some very popular YouTubers who had some very successful comedy bits roasting the comics during that period. And that's cool. Go to it. Nothing against those roasts, but that was a moment in time. It wasn't the title in general. The title was fine. Not a huge seller, but not a huge industry. So when Disney announces we're doing a Miss Marvel, Disney Plus series, it's amazing to see people take complete two extremes, polar opposite extreme reactions to that announcement. One group, which you can see on social media or on the web, says, "Oh, thank God, this is the most popular character, and it's about time she got her chance to shine. And the only thing that's not good about this is she's not leading the Avengers in the next Avengers 4 movie or 5 movie, and she should be already. Why Disney Plus seems like she's slumming it. She should be bigger, much bigger." That's one side. And that, of course, is absolutely absurd. The character does not have anywhere remotely close to the legacy and the history and the fan base and the stability to make that move. Now, granted, anything could happen. You could hire an amazing director writing an amazing story, perfect casting. The movie could be a surprise hit, but the operative word there is surprise. It if you want to build a stable foundation, and Disney is in the mood for the MCU and all of their activities to build a stable, decade-spanning juggernaut of cash. So they're not going to make stupid decisions by rushing things to the screen before they're ready. But wait, you may say, what about Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel was a calculated film that they took, and it worked out for them. Made $1 billion. So it worked. Like it or not, it worked. The other reaction, though, to the Miss Marvel announcement was, oh my God, the only way this is going to work is if they completely change every single part of her origin, get rid of all the SJW woke stuff. They've got to, she can't be Muslim anymore, and they've got to just completely nuke every single thing about the character and start from scratch. Okay, that is also ridiculous. And people need to understand how ridiculous you sound when you say things like that. Both groups, you sound ridiculous when you say it's about time this is the most popular character of all time, or this is the worst character of all time and has to be completely changed if it even hopes to gain one viewer on TV. Neither of those are true. Now, the reality, if you play it out of what's going to happen, yeah, this series is going to come out, character is going to be there, the storyline's going to be probably pretty average. How do I know this? Well, because it's a safe bet to bet that all the Disney Plus shows are going to be pretty average. The A team, like I said before, they're going to be going to the movies. They want their streaming service to be strong and successful. That's what they're going to bank on for. Frankly, the title that's going to be there is Loki and Winter Soldier Bucky. They announced those early. Sorry, Winter Soldier Falcon. What am I saying? Not Winter Soldier, but that'd be two of the same character. It's like the Parent Trap, only Winter Soldier style. Anyway, the Falcon, Bucky, and Loki series are clearly the tip of the spear for Disney Plus's Marvel strategy. They've got the original actors, are going to be doing big things, and look at the villains and the arcs that they're running in those. Those are going to be the tentpole, and they're going to hope to make it big to build upon WandaVision and Miss Marvel and Moon Knight and She-Hulk and whatever else they come out down the pipeline with. Those are going to be the films that they're hoping that catch on, and then they migrate them to the movies. But keep in mind, there was once upon a time with the Jeff Loeb helmed Netflix series that Daredevil and Luke Cage and some of these shows were also going to start on Netflix and make their way to the movies. And hey, that didn't happen. The same thing can absolutely be true of Disney Plus. Even though Disney owns both their movies and Disney Plus's service, if the show doesn't come out well, it's not going to make the move. And if there's any uncertainty about the show and its quality and the staying power of the character, it's going to go on to Disney Plus before it goes to the movies. That's just the business. Not a prediction, not emotional, not liking the character or hating the character. It's just the reality of the character. But what I'm getting to all this is the comic business, the money, it's made up of the middle. It's made up of people who are not nuts on either side, who really, at the end of the day, just want good comics. Look, if they took the She-Hulk concept, the current concept, which is She-Hulk was traumatized, she's having trouble controlling her transformation, she's going all the way up into kind of Rage Hulk, super bulky Hulk, and that's what she's currently grappling with. Take that exact same concept and put it in the hands of you know, Walter Simonson or Chris Claremont writing and Art Adams drawing. Put Art Adams on art and put those writers on top. The title would sell just fine. Everybody would be just fine with it. The problem isn't the concept. The problem is the execution. And that's the thing that I think people really need to digest. Almost every single concept, every single character, every single property that's out there has a great chance to succeed if the execution is good. If the execution is crap, then the result is going to be crap. Captain Marvel can absolutely be a 100K best-selling book. You want to know how to do it? I mean, you can cheat. You can put a super strong writer on it. Like, here's it would not fit the book whatsoever. But what if you put Garth Ennis on Captain Marvel and put Jim Lee on art? Hey, guess what? It's selling 100,000 copies tomorrow. I'm saying Garth Ennis by nature of The Boys. His name, his profile is raised up. But honestly, you put Donny Cates and Mark Silvestri on Captain Marvel, it's a 100,000 copy book. It absolutely is. It's the execution of the story and what's popular right now. Absolute Carnage is going to sell six figures. It absolutely is. If the talent is strong, if they've got the buzz, whether or not you like the character or not, if the execution of the idea is a good execution and is designed to make money, it will make money. I think a lot of people go through mental gymnastics trying to figure out, why isn't Miss Marvel selling more than 50,000 copies? Well, I mean, take a look. The writer who's on it has no proven track record to sell above 25,000 consistently. The art team that's on it is relatively unknown and new. It's no surprise that this title is selling where it's at. It's no surprise that when Joe Mad does the Ultimates 3, it sells well, even though that story was absolutely terrible. When Ed McGuinness is on the Avengers, it sells better than when fill-in artist X is on the Avengers. I don't think any of this is complicated. If you take Spider-Man and you take Nick Spencer off of it, and you take Ramos, or you take any kind of the current art team, and you put no name number 1 and no name number 2 on it for writer art, the sales are going to go down. Yeah, Spider-Man with a no-name talent crew is going to sell more than Miss Marvel with a no-name talent crew, but they're both going to suffer. Talent matters, as it turns out. And keep in mind, Disney and Time Warner would absolutely for this not to be the case. They would like to go and hire the cheapest Argentinian Vietnam art team, outsource the whole comic to Ukraine. If they could pull in the same numbers, they would be doing it tomorrow. And by the way, for the current comic creators who like to get a big ego about themselves on social media and act like they're suddenly, walking superstars, guess what? If Disney could figure out how to outsource your job to Honduras, you'd be out of a job tomorrow. They would love to do this, but at the end of the day, they don't do that because talent does matter. And the only problem is there's not enough money in comics to get the A talent, so they're down to the C talent in a lot of cases. But if there was any way they could do it, they would go down to the X talent, the Y, the Z, because that's what the comic business is at. But if you're a fan, you just want it to work. You're the middle. Most of you are the middle. You've got cash to spend. You want good stories to read. You don't inherently care what the whole backstory is. You just want a good comic. You want a good product to spend your money on. And that's what matters. So we all spend our time spending way too much time and energy and effort talking about, oh my God, thank God Disney's finally bringing She-Hulk to the Disney Plus. It's going to be amazing, especially if they completely do a line by line translation of the last run where she was on the reality cooking show. No, that Disney won't be doing that because that whole series would bomb hard. It would be an embarrassment, and there'd be articles written about, is the superhero boom over? That's what would happen. They're not going to do that. And on the other hand, guys, they're not going to take She-Hulk and go after the John Byrne run where she's running around in a wet t-shirt and her nipples are showing. They're not going to do that either because it's for Disney Plus. There's kids watching. They are not going to do that. They're going to try and find the biggest corporate calculated money grab they can to try and attract the middle. Will they be successful? It's hard to say. Probably not with all these efforts. But I think that the challenging part is, as a comic fan, you struggle to be in the middle right now. You struggle to find that perfect balance between, crazy and crazy. And that's increasingly what it is. And both sides need to understand you don't represent the majority. You don't represent the cash. You represent the fringe. And to some, I'm sure that's a really harsh message, and you can downvote all day long. But in the end, don't be the fringe. Don't you want to be the, I mean, well, I don't, actually, here's where I'll argue with myself. You know what? I think there's a lot of value to being your own person. I don't think you should just go along with the masses want. You should enjoy what you enjoy, and that's cool. And I guess in this particular analogy, how I'm describing the situation is enjoy what you enjoy. Don't align yourself to some crazy fringe that is going to tell you what to like or dislike or love or hate, and just like what you like. Because guess what? The majority is are people like you. They're people who want to just buy things, feel good about what they're buying, and, like, go to sleep at night, have a beer. That's what they want. Nobody really wants to get up every day and go on a jihad for something. You want to just enjoy life. That's the majority I'm talking about. So keep your individuality, obviously like what you like, and just be happy with it. That's all there is. I don't know. Look, I mean, I'm frustrated. You can hear the frustration in my voice when I'm making this video. I just People go to so much work to be mad or happy about things that aren't what they truly like inside. And if they just would pay attention to what they liked, they would get more of what they liked. It's all the fighting and the struggle that actually makes things confusing and convoluted. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Hey, call me a moron on the comics comments about comics. Please do like, subscribe, unsubscribe, because I'm too woke or not woke enough. I don't know. Whatever it is anymore. Follow me on Twitter, Comic Perch. Call me an a-hole. Thanks for listening.